Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of shit. Okay, we know that. Yes. He is. But
when the cameras are off, Crockett's real claws come out. Staffers say she bites harder than she barks. And the whole fighting for you act, one big cheap fake. She even works from home. Quote, she's laying around her apartment, won't come into the office, and is really just indifferent to staff and will scream at them. When Crockett actually shows up for work, she wants to be treated like Governor Hot Wheels. She hates using her legs. She demands her staff play chauffeur and drive from the Capitol to her office. It's only a few blocks. And the car can't be some cheap Subaru. It's got to be an Escalade. After that, the aide must, and this is important, stand outside the car and open the door like it's the Met Gala. Another aide says Crockett's obsessed with being the black Sydney Sweeney. Quote, she's focused almost exclusively on being an influencer, not a member of Congress. Crockett's all diva, no wow. And Crockett might talk a big DEI game, but if you're black, you're the first to get the pink slip. Quote, I don't want to hear Jasmine Crockett talk about helping black women when she just fired one for no reason.
Jasmine Crockett has reportedly gone into hiding and is missing after her staff turn on her, go behind her back, and do an article with the New York Post where they expose Jasmine Crockett for being the worst kind of person and, in their words, calling her a boss from hell. But before she went off the grid, she did an interview with CBS, and the reporter asks her about this scathing article, and she starts to unravel, calls her own staff racist and sexist, and then descends into her favorite talking point, Republicans are a whole bunch of racist KKK members. I think Jasmine is in the midst of a mental breakdown because she's already panicking that Texas is drawing her out of a job. Last week, The Atlantic exposed her for being a raging narcissist who has her own face as her phone lock screen, and now even her staff is turning their back on her. The article didn't say anything we don't already know about Jasmine Crockett. She's rude, she's abrasive, she's undignified, she's insufferable. So that part is no surprise to us.
Are you a no-show boss from hell who terrorizes staffers?
Oh my goodness. Listen, I know that I have arrived, honey. That is the way that I see this, because as Beyonce says, if they're not talking about you, then obviously you must not be doing anything. You know what? This is just more slander, more nonsense, more lies. And honestly, I don't think that the New York Post would probably be the first ones to be able to figure out if I was a boss from hell. I just don't think so. I have happily served on the state level for, I did 2 years there, and now I am at year 2.5 on the federal level. And so 5.5 years in, all of a sudden, I'm this terrible person and terrible boss. Yeah, I don't think so. And ultimately, it wouldn't be the New York Post. Now, here's the reality. It is very difficult to work on the Hill, no matter who you are, whether you're a member, as you and I were joking before we got on camera about all of the scrutiny that comes with being not only woman, but being young and being a Black woman. There's a lot of scrutiny that comes my way, and it comes my way from all different angles. But when people start talking about you, that's when you know that you are obviously getting under their skin. So I am not going to give up. There's a song that I like to quote every once in a while. It says, your hate is my motivation. So keep hating. All it does is motivate me to continue to do what I do, which is to be loud and proud on behalf of the American people.
That maniacal laugh before she gave her answer was just chilling. And then she immediately goes on to prove everybody who's calling her a narcissist and a diva right. Well, Beyonce says that if nobody's talking about you, then you ain't doing nothing. And that's the thing. She's an attention-seeking social media influencer placating as a congresswoman, single-handedly bringing down the respect and prestige of the United States Congress. Like, she's so delusional. They just hate me because I'm a young Black woman. First off, she's 44, and I guess that's young in terms of government, but she's making it sound like she's some hated on 25-year-old. People criticize Zohran Mamdani for being 33 and trying to run New York City because that's pretty young. No one looks at a 44-year-old like, oh man, that's just a young whippersnapper. They're wet behind the ears. They couldn't possibly have any experience at all. But that that's how she's trying to frame it. It's just delusional. But anyway, now for the word on the street that after this horrendous interview and scathing article, Jasmine Crockett is missing and has gone into hiding. So this comes from Sheldon Daniels for Congress. Now, this is the person who now Jasmine Crockett is going to be running against after her districts are getting redrawn. This guy's a black Republican, and he's going to be able to capture her entire black base, but then also have some substance behind it and effectively kick Jasmine Crockett out of Congress. Thank God. But here's what he said on X. Word going around is that Jasmine Crockett is hiding out and refusing to speak with anyone after her staffers put her on blast. She is in panic mode as it becomes more and more clear that her time on Capitol Hill is coming to an end. It's time for a real Texan to represent Texas 30. Jasmine Crockett is probably the most racist person in the Democrat Party. This woman absolutely hates white people, and she lets us know that. So you know her staff was comprised of a whole bunch of black women. So for someone who truly believes that white supremacy is rampant, it is currently trampling and oppressing on black people, and how the patriarchy makes it so hard for women. So you would think she would treat her staff, who she would be helping break into this racist boys club of government, with a little more decency and respect. She preaches the whole black solidarity thing, but treats her entire black staff like they are lesser than her. She would never hire an all-white staff, but hypothetically, if she did have an all-white staff, I could completely understand her treating them like that, because she lets us know she hates white people. But the fact that she's doing it to other black women shows you she is a ruthlessly disgusting narcissist. She wanted to be able to control the narrative entirely about how she's portrayed, because her ego is so fragile. And all of this going on right now is clearly sending her spiraling into the loony house. She's an attention-seeking social media influencer placating as a congresswoman, single-handedly bringing down the respect and prestige of the United States Congress. Like, she's so delusional. They just hate me because I'm a young black woman. First off, she's 44, and I guess that's young in terms of government, but she's making it sound like she's some hated on 25-year-old. People criticize Zohran Mamdani for being 33 and trying to run New York City because that's pretty young. No one looks at a 44-year-old like, oh man, that's just a young whippersnapper. They're wet behind the ears. They couldn't possibly have any experience at all. But that's how she's trying to frame it. It's just delusional. Now, this is substantiated by her staff's claim that she likes to lounge around her luxury apartment. She never goes to work. Jasmine Crockett isn't known for a single piece of legislation. She's not known for being some clever bipartisan broker who might have a chance at speaker one day. She's loud and rambunctious and performative, and she's willing to humiliate herself every single day because she's addicted with looking at her TikTok followers. And she was never incentivized to change because she represents a plus 30 Democrat district. But now with Texas redrawing her district, she's finally going to lose her job. And we won't have to hear any more rhetoric like this. Here she is calling all Republicans KKK members.
Once Trump got in a second time, they decided the hoods were off. And listen, I'm perfectly fine with it because I want to know where you stand. I want to know that you're a despicable human being who lacks all morality, but wants to go around and teach and preach Christianity. I want to know who you are, because then I know how to deal with you. It is unfortunate that that is where we are, and it is one reason that it is so difficult for minorities to even try to listen to Republicans, because they consistently coddle people like neo-Nazis.
The Democrat Party has a 19% approval rating. And the reason Jasmine Crockett says things like the Republicans took off their hoods in 2024 is because it plays directly to that 19%. And she's so obsessed with her mission of becoming a cultural icon that she doesn't care. She's going to keep tanking the entire Democrat Party because her being elevated to a national mouthpiece for the Democrat Party doesn't play well with any of the voters the Democrats are hemorrhaging. Jasmine Crockett is a parasite that's going to suck the Democrat Party dry, and when they're all withered and wilted away, she's probably going to go write a book and become a consultant or something.
This is not a federal issue. This is absolutely a state issue, as these are state lawmakers, number one. Number two, there's a lot of things that our FBI could be doing, such as keeping us safe, instead of doing the bidding of a corrupt president who has decided that he doesn't want any accountability, and he knows that the persons within his party are not willing to hold him accountable.
Why?
It doesn't concern me that they are trying to do this, because obviously I was a part of the quorum break in 2021. And so when I participated in that quorum break, there were various things that they tried to submit to the Supreme Court at that time. And the Texas Supreme Court at that time, which for the most part has the same makeup as it did in 2021, it specifically said that these were political issues and therefore they had no jurisdiction to get involved. I don't think that this will be any different. One of the things that MAGA is really good about is they always want to put on a show. So it's like, grabbing people off the streets. That's about putting on a show. Doing things like, oh, we're going to kick you out of office is about putting on a show. I truly believe that not every portion of democracy has failed just yet. And frankly, the only part that hasn't fully kind of succumbed at this point is the courts in general. Any wins that we have experienced on behalf of democracy thus far have been in the courts. And so while I don't necessarily have the utmost faith in all courts, I do know that there is recent precedents specifically about quorum breaking for Texans. I mean, if there's anybody that understands breaking the law, it is definitely the one that was under federal investigation for I don't know how many years and was subject to state felony indictments for close to probably 8 years in the state of Texas. But honestly, we've done quorum breaks before. And again, there's never been anyone that even tried to presume or tried to pretend as if this was bribery. Listen, these are people that are out there. They are working on behalf of their constituents. And when we are not in a regular session in Texas, we are allowed to take donations. We are one of the few states that so long as you're in session, regular session, you're not allowed to take any money. I just can't listen to any Republican right now. If you are not a Republican that had a problem with the fact that the U.S. House decided that they would go on recess for an entire month because they did not want to deal with the Epstein files, then you absolutely have no place to speak. Now, I will be honest and tell you that there were some Republicans, mostly on the federal level, that absolutely said in a very bipartisan way that they believed in the transparency and they believed that these files should absolutely be turned over to us. So all of a sudden, you want to talk about this? It's the same thing with Congressman Kiley, who all of a sudden wants to file a bill saying, hey, we can't do mid-decade redistricting only because he believes that he's on the chopping block in California if California does what they're saying that they're going to do. So here's the deal. Time out for Democrats just sitting there and being the bigger person and absolutely doing the moral thing, the right thing, when Republicans are playing with a completely different playbook. We refuse to be anybody's doormat. So I got news for them. I'm not going to let you walk over me, because walking over me means you're walking over and you're stepping on my constituents. And some things are bigger than any titles. And one of those things is absolutely democracy and fighting for it and making sure we do everything to preserve it, even if it means that we got to get in the mud and play the same game that y'all are playing.
That's all for today. Thank you. If you want global news to keep you up to date on any new developments, please subscribe our channel and forward our content with your friends on social media and email. Thank you very much for keep supporting me. Stay safe. Be blessed. Namaste.
Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America.